Just like that, we back again.
Back in action. What up? What up?
Back again. LT,
Yes, sir.
Kam Gee, how's your weekend going?
Woo, moving right along. Beautiful, restful, all the above.
All the above.
Yeah.
Can't complain. Got some din waiting for me after this.
Oh
Went
yeah.
to the gym a little bit before.
That's the old man. That's the old man remedy right there.
Oh, yeah.
It does great.
Some vittles.
Whoa, what's that? What you got?
I said some vittles. Got some vittles.
Vittles. Yeah, man. And then you add the humidifier, like that's fire. You finish your evening perfect.
Oh, gotta have that humidifier, especially if you got allergies.
Yeah.
With the essential oils.
You can tell we getting up there in age.
Lemongrass.
Yeah.
Right. Essential oils is an essential part of life.
Yep.
You hit a certain point.
Yep. As you can see, we trying to like figure out the layout. And it's kind of hard to orchestrate, who's speaking. So let's keep it like this, simple, so nobody has to flip from, speaker to speaker. Hopefully the audience can keep up. But let's officially start this podcast, LT. Kam, who's fighting?
Who's fighting?
Who is fighting? Not a big fight week for most, but there was action.
Big time.
Who did we have in the boxing world fight today? Yesterday. So
We're gonna start out with Luis Alberto Lopez versus Angelo Leo.
That one.
Big
was
time knockout.
So this
that was
was
one of the
a top ranked promotion, correct?
Right.
Yes, that was
ESPN.
top ranked. It was
were
free on
coming out
ESPN,
Yeah, on ESPN coming out of Albuquerque, New Mexico.
New Mexico. And this was for the IBF world featherweight title. Current champion trying to defend it, Alberto Lopez. What do you guys think about that knockout, though? 10th round.
Big time. Eye popping. Knockout of year candidate for sure.
There it is. That's what I was waiting for. Did you not see how his foot folded over though?
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of Ngannou versus Anthony. Like that stuff was nasty.
Oh yeah.
That's his foot. Yeah, I wonder how his knees are right now, man. After
just a reminder that you don't play boxing.
Yeah.
The ironic thing about it was they were talking about how the words was arrogant, how arrogant he was because he knew he was the man. He just had this aura going into the fight meetings, and he was like on his phone, like backstage on his phone, watching the on the undercards going on.
Yeah, that knockout.
Go ahead, Strap.
Yeah, I was like that knockout was an element of surprise. I didn't see it coming. Like I even thought it was not real because it was just a sudden, like it wasn't one of those follow through punches. It was a left snap timber. Just I was like, what just happened? It was so beautiful to watch. I rewinded that. I was like, wow. He didn't see it coming.
And that's one thing we've been seeing lately is this these exciting knockouts from these guys. And it's we're getting so many of them, back to back weeks. I mean, it keeps you on your toes. You cannot turn your head from the fight.
Yeah.
That's the rewarding thing about being like an enthusiast is, you may watch the big name last week with Crawford and Madrimal, and then here goes this kind of obscure fight happening in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then you get that one shot.
One shot. Man, salute to Angelo Leo. That was something. It was beautiful. Like I watched that sequence leading up. I watched how he was fighting, how he was like the head. He had like a little Madonna in him where he would put his head down and the looping overhand, and he had. I mean, and he's the Hispanic fighter. They have that dog in them that is kind of like they want to fight. They really want to fight. They don't want to box. and then that happens to the champ who is running through that division like water. It makes boxing such a beautiful sport, like the sweet science. Like any day, you can't just expect like somebody who has the bookies, all figured out to just. That was a element of surprise, and it's a beautiful thing of this sport that we love, especially as fans. Yeah,
for sure, for sure.
What other fight?
Another late card. Another late night. Watching
that's one of those things too, because I think they intentionally waited for the UFC to finish up, because that was like kind of simultaneous.
My guy, you know how I feel about this fighter.
We're gonna keep it moving along.
Yeah,
we're gonna roll to. This was probably the main draw of the weekend for boxing fans.
My guy,
Serhii Bohachuk versus Vergil Ortiz Jr.
My guy, Texas's very own
Grand Prairie.
Cam was locked in on this one. What are your thoughts on that?
Man, it was exciting start to finish. I had
exciting
first round. There's no way you're thinking that this fight is going 12 rounds. Like it's like, nah, this pace is something that you can't keep up, no matter how elite you are. But they were able to keep up with it, and I really had it as a draw. I feel like the two knockdowns plus a lot of close rounds mixed in there. It's really hard to really see Ortiz winning. I thought at the worst was a draw. Bohachuk, I really felt like edged it out. Two knockdowns and constant activity, countering Ortiz's counters, and man, great fight though.
Remind me, it was a first round knockdown and an 8th round knockdown that he faced, right?
Right, and they reviewed it, I believe, in the 4th round.
Not really,
yeah. And I really haven't seen that lately. That was unique, but I feel like they got it right. It wasn't like a lot of contact. He was a little off balance, but he got hit. Technically, that's a knockdown. So
I was kind of confused when he got down to the later rounds. Like, okay, so did they actually count that first one? Because in live action, he kind of waved it off. So.
Right. Yeah. There was a pause before the 4th round or something like that, where the referee timed it right after the bell rang, and he was clarifying to the corners that it was ruled a knockdown because of a review. And I had never really seen that before, so that's why that round got the 10-8. So you got two 10-8 rounds that Ortiz has to come over. But it was some exciting rounds, man. Just as a fan, that was amazing. But they definitely got a rematch because it was just too close. And to see Ortiz come on top, I'm like, man, like at worst, it was a draw.
Isn't this for the interim WBC? It's for the WC interim junior middleweight.
Junior welterweight.
Middle welterweight. Yep. Vergil, that's my guy. He's been my guy for the last. We used to talk about him back, 3 years ago. LT. Him and Boots were like the youngins coming up, like, just rubbing my hands to see what they could do with the big fights. This fight right here showed me something. Yeah, his big fans, his big supporters were kind of like worried after they saw those 2 knockdowns and how he fought. But he still won. But he showed me that he has that dog in him.
And they weren't bad knockdowns, but they were flash knockdowns. Like, I was kind of comparing it to like when somebody's on the court, they backing you down and you pull the chair out.
Right. Kind of lost his balance a little bit, and then got hit. That's technically those are knockdowns.
Right.
Should have been costly so for him to get the win. It's boxing. You see some questionable decisions. What did y'all think?
Ooh. Yeah.
I think
2 10 rounds are hard to overcome, especially if you don't, turn around and get a knockdown yourself. In a fight where you get knocked down twice, you have to dominate. You really have to dominate on the points.
Right.
Yeah.
And did you see domination?
Nah.
Yeah.
I think the close contest all the way through.
Close rounds. So that's how I saw it too. Very close rounds.
Do you think there's still in the future there's a fight with Boots there, is it worth it?
Gotta be, because I
Or is
mean,
Boots just skyrocketed to the Crawford hemisphere that Vergil will just be not, it would not make sense money wise.
I think that's why Ortiz got the decision, because they're trying to make these fights, and because there's no reason that he just outright won that fight, given the circumstances. But there's got to be some plan in the future for a fight with Crawford, Boots, Tim Tszyu, which they were supposed to fight. But because if he doesn't get the decision, then those fights, those big money fights, possibly don't get made, were made under different circumstances. Whereas now now you're coming in on a high note, so to speak, as far as record wise.
Right.
You're probably looking a rematch is probably more realistic. But there's the big money draws with the Crawford possibilities in the Middle East, and especially with things falling out. There was fallout that last week with Turkey, and that was kind of outpricing itself. So we ended last week talking about how
Money man
Canelo will be a fool, and then now Canelo's going on this press run saying that, hey, I want X amount of dollars. And man, they go to Twitter like Sunday night or Monday night. It was very very shortly thereafter we went off the
air.
Right.
Put out a lengthy tweet. A
very lengthy tweet. Man, the money man himself, he spoke highly of himself too. Like he's been putting it, he talked on that tweet like he's been putting it down for the boxing and MMA world, which rightfully so.
Yeah. I mean, who's challenging him? He's giving us the fights that we want. So
now Crawford's kind of in a weird space now, because he doesn't want to go back down to 147, but he's kind of I think he's kind of in a no man's land. He's kind of put himself in a no man's land. He's gonna probably go after that other belt, the one that was it? We got it's because Fundora has two of them, right?
Right, in the 154 division.
Right.
And then
So there's that, but it's also not a big name fight, so they're gonna have to put together another big time card. So
yeah.
And even the Fundora fight, like to me, like that's those two styles just don't match. Like for me,
it comes out what do people want to see, because these are the times when boxing fans really clamor for the fights that they want. So I think we'll start to see some of that come through, and I think Turkey has been really responsive to the fights people want. I feel like he's been very representative of the fights people want. So we can just hopefully expect that to continue.
And then going back to Vergil, can you see Vergil fight either Isaac Cruz, Pitbull, or fight Teofimo, one of those junior welterweights? Would those fights make sense, or are those too big of fights for him right now?
I think Pitbull will be a little out of his weight class.
At 140 at least.
Well, for Ortiz, that will require him to go down a division or like a catchweight fighting potential. But I'm thinking, I really can't see that. Teo, I mean, I think we need to see him fight at 147 to get on that, to even have that in a realm of possibility. Like I said, if it's not a rematch, you're probably looking at like a Crawford situation, a Boots potential situation, or a Tim Tszyu, which whoever Crawford decides to fight. I feel like that's where the hierarchy starts to set itself, where the fights get made. So that's that's yet to be determined, but the fans are gonna talk. The fans are gonna talk for sure.
Well, how about
a Jamal Charlo?
My camera malfunctions.
How about the Jamal Charlo?
Oh man, we need to see him back in the ring. We ain't heard anything.
Yeah,
we ain't heard anything. He might not even come back in the ring.
And then there's a guy that the IBF guy. I keep on forgetting his name. Bahakaran, Bakran,
Yeah,
Bakram,
exactly.
Bakram. Here goes again saying those names. Bakran, Martavish.
I think that's looking like the likely possibility as a busy fight, and he can pick up another belt, and then when that time rolls around, he's positioned himself yet again to to unify, undisputed.
Now let me try Murtaza.
Yeah,
Murtaza.
But that's another tactic where Boots can try to position himself and go after that 154-pound belt in order to force a Crawford fight. You know what I mean? So.
Oh yeah. I ain't thinking about that because Boots definitely has the size to get to that weight class. And I feel like with his frame, he could do that comfortably. Because at 147, I mean, there isn't anyone to fight. Terrence Crawford had the belts, and he's in recess. Teofimo potentially going up. I mean, I really don't see that. I mean, surprisingly, there isn't a lot of fights to be made at 147 right now. As far as when it comes to contention for belts, I mean, the pathway's there for Boots, but who is he going to fight to? Like he wants legacy, and that's what Crawford wants as well. So they're not even. I don't know, man. We got some interesting fights that could be made.
It's just that time for the Sweetheart division because I think everybody's at 130, 135 right now that would be the successors. And I honestly, if you asked me about 3 years ago when we were doing the show, I didn't think that they would stay down there that long, especially after Tank left Floyd. I feel like he would have moved up by now, but it's methodical and
I think he's a natural small guy though. So,
yeah, he is.
So I think he fights around his weight, and him being shorter in stature, can't really see him going up in weight class. He'll just have to beat the guys in his division or make catchweight fights.
Yeah, I like Teo.
Yeah, he's interesting.
Is Josh Taylor finish or what? Like, these are you might be looking at a bunch of rematches at 47.
Yeah. Surprising.
A natural big 140, a naturally big like bodied 140 is David Haney, but I don't know how it translates when it goes up. He's a big guy, like he's for that size, for 140, 135. Haney's big, and he's struggling when he's fight day. He's like, if you hit him with a non-hydration clause, whatever the clause that they hit with Ryan Garcia, rehydration clause. Like, you see how he looks like when he's weighing in at the 135s and 140, he looks bad. Like he's naturally he's a big guy. He could fight at 47. I don't think he'd do 54, but he could do he's a 47, I think, naturally.
Yeah, that could be a big fight. That could be a big fight. That's interesting because
these guys are on hiatus right now. So Boots is just like looking around.
What a fight.
So that's when the fans come into play, and the fans will be the ones that say, hey, I'm trying to see this fighter and this fighter. I'm going on my Twitter or my podcast, whatever, to demanding these fights get made. So I would like to see Haney back in the ring, potentially like at the 147 division. I feel like with that weight, he might have a better resistance to punching. Dehydrating your body is really hard on you, and he was just getting touched with just anything and was falling all over the ring, and it's hard to not think about the weight draining affecting him, like his resistance to punching.
And I hope he shows more power at a higher weight too, because
that could go either way, but he seems to be killing himself to get to a lower weight class. Maybe he's a stronger fighter at that weight class.
Right.
And that's how I knew, like, that weight drain just killed the weight loss, or the running to lose that weight just kills him, because I really did. We watched that sparring video with him and Tank when he's just in his natural state. He looked really good in that sparring, but he was 16 again, and I don't know what the rules were in the Mayweather gym at that time. I'm like, okay, he had a little bit of a snap in his punch. I don't know. Either he was just young and just reckless, but he looked good in that sparring session. You watch it?
Hey, I just had a thought. So we like who Charlo gonna fight on the comeback, right? We can have a battle of other comebacks, and Charlo can fight Keith Thurman.
I'll watch that
fight in a minute. One time.
I watched that. The build up will be crazy.
You know, Keith has not fought so long that we forget that when Keith was the man, this was back in 2014, 2015. He was still like about 27 years old, 26. Keith is damn near 36, 35 years old.
Man,
he's getting to the twilight of his career. One time,
he gonna try to get one more payday.
One time.
I think his biggest bag is past him. I think his biggest bag is past him.
Pacquiao bag.
It's past him. He got it, and I don't think those injuries, the small little niggles that he gets, and things that make him skip fights, broken hand. He had so many things. He had did he have a motorcycle accident?
Yeah, he had a wreck.
His career just took a twist. But I remember, like, we laugh at the career. I mean, not laughing, but we giggle and like to the sound of his name. But he was a bad man. Like him fighting Sean Porter back then, and you know us kind of like building the myth of Earl Spence back then.
He also avoided Spence too. Would not give Earl the title shot. So,
but
this is gonna sound crazy. This is gonna sound crazy, but it's the perfect storm from Manny Pacquiao.
Wow.
And that's the thing. Manny Pacquiao is one of those scavenger fighters, boy. He finds his way in
Didn't he just fight an exhibition?
Like,
it was a real fight. It wasn't an exhibition. I don't think it was an exhibition.
It was a real fight. They fought like 2-3 years ago.
Like, and the dude gave him everything he can handle. Like,
and Pacquiao kind of dazed him a little bit too in the beginning. Like, kind of got him. Man. He knocked him down.
I know. I thought you were going to say Keith Thurman versus Earl Spence.
But Pacquiao
at 154.
I think Pacquiao is working on a comeback. He's been doing these little exhibitions in Japan. He's 40 years old, I know. He's doing his politics thing, you know. But
he's
Pacquiao,
like 40 something, right?
He's in his 40s. He's 40 something, yeah.
Man, I ain't trying to see that, man. I ain't trying to see that.
He was going to fight Spence until Spence had his facial. He had an issue with his eye, like remember, like
that was going to be the Spence payday. We were a few years past that. At this point, old ass Manny Pacquiao, I'm not trying to see. I would not mind seeing Earl.
There's a gaping hole. There's a gaping hole
because of the beef they had with not getting the belt. Now they need fights. I don't know if Earl Spence is gonna fight Fandora, but you know they say they only want big fights. It's an intriguing fight, so I think it's something that they can make some money off of a fight like that.
And you know what this remind me of? This remind me of when you graduate high school and you know you have some years, and then you know you look up as adults, and so like here come these pairings that you know they act like they would have never needed each other in high school, but some time passed and you look up and like, I've never seen them two going together.
Right.
That's what this is reminding me of.
Right. Rekindling some old flame.
Mm-hmm.
How about, I don't know if this is a stretch of I don't know if this fighter is in the condition to fight. AB versus Keith Thurman. AB will still bring some people to watch the fight.
He's with Don King.
Okay.
That's true.
Oh,
man's with Don King. Like that was, come on. I don't even. The guy gave him some great work that night. Caught him with a left. Put him on his ass. I mean,
he's never been the same.
I know he loved AB, but he missed out. This is the problem with the fights. That's not because we have to talk about fights like these being made, because it's like, what's gonna happen? 154. Canelo's holding us hostage. I don't know who he's
exactly.
fighting. Then at the light heavyweight, you got Benavidez, Bertobie, and Bivol. They'll all have to fight each other. So that'll be interesting.
And don't forget, Morel was on that last card last week too.
Okay, and he's gonna play a factor. Yeah, for sure. So, when you go down these weight classes, you're having issues, kind of like getting these fights to line up.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and the sweetheart division of boxing is suffering the.
Yeah, that's not like that. No, that division for sure.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
Another. If you guys have not noticed, have you been noticing the activity of Mr. God's God? What is it? Let me not even mess up his name, but Andrew Ward. Have you seen like? Does he give you like a comeback feel or something like that?
Nah, I think he just joined All the Smoke podcast group, and I think he's just really trying to get involved, and it's kind of like that, in like being an ambassador for the sport and giving these fighters a voice, and like someone that's like highly intelligent and well respected. So I'm actually looking forward to like hearing him talk to other boxers and him just give us that wisdom in that game, because I think technically speaking, he's up there with me for like Floyd.
One of the greatest,
like having the IQ in the ring.
Yeah.
Didn't take a lot of damage. Was a pure boxer, and worked at his skills a lot. So
Olympic pedigree.
Olympic. One of our few Olympians that translates. Good Olympians that translates to a great pro career, a Jordan athlete. I mean,
Jordan athlete.
Like, I don't really see him getting back in the ring, but I do think that he's working on being more out there as far as like just being in the boxing media. So I'm here for it.
It is intriguing though to see him sparring. Like, I don't want to see him in the ring because it's such a big hiatus.
Yeah,
but it's definitely intriguing when you see him sparring against the likes of Terrence Crawford.
But that's his nature. Remember, like even before he became champion again, he was away from boxing for a while. Was it? If I remember, was it because he was going through treatment or something?
He had a little hiatus.
Yeah, he had a hiatus, and he was away from boxing. And you never know with these when the bag calls when Turkey says, "Hey, I have this person wanting to fight you. What do you think?"
Then man, like we can't. We gotta stay retired. 2017 was his last fight.
They give him Conor McGregor, or they give him like a Jake Paul. If Turkey says Jake Paul versus Andre Ward, retired Andre Ward versus Jake Paul for 100 million.
I don't think he's taking it.
He's gonna fight.
I don't think he's taking. I don't think Turkey will make that fight.
That's easy work. I think that's easy work.
Nah, we need Andre Ward in a new arena at this point in his career, and mentoring these younger fighters and being a voice in the media, giving guys their platform. That's what we need. We need more stories from boxers.
Yeah.
So,
well, let's pivot into the world of mixed martial arts. This weekend we did have some USC fights. First fight, I'm just gonna run through the results and talk about those fights. LT, Kam Gee, feel free to add to what I'm reviewing, what I'm recapping. So main card was Serhii Petrovic versus Marcin Tybura, and Spiff. I'm saying this wrong.
Heavyweight bout.
Yeah, heavyweight bout. Spivak won that fight on bar submission in the first round at 1:44.
And it looked like it was going to turn into a slugfest there in the first few moments of that fight. But
so the second fight was Chepa Moresco defeats Damian Jackson, and this was a unanimous decision based off the judges. It was 3 rounds, unanimous decision going to Moresco. Then we had Danny Barlow versus Nikolai Veratinovic, and this was a split decision going to Barlow. And we had Chris Gutierrez versus Kyung Lee, and that was a unanimous decision going to Gutierrez.
Hey,
3
wait
rounds.
a minute. Hold on. Which one was my guy with he had the south side fade and like the tail in the back? Did y'all see that one?
Is that Barlow?
I think that's Barlow.
Yeah.
Is he? I gotta check. Is he out of Dallas or not?
Right. If you got a south side fade, you gotta check the ancestry real quick.
What they call that? They call that the what? The shag?
It's on the front. Oh no, the south side is good. Oh no, I think
it was more of a shag.
I don't see it on here.
But that may be Danny. That may be Danny. Danny Barlow.
Danny left hand Barlow.
Yeah, maybe him. Let me see.
Strap, can you pull a picture of it?
I'm trying to see it's not showing his haircut though.
Nah, not showing him last night. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we can check where you're from though for sure. Fighting out of Tennessee.
Oh,
Tennessee. Yeah.
You know, they don't say like Memphis or Nashville or anything like that, but shout out to the Shags getting represented out there.
Yeah, that's
he had a good commentary too, because I want to say it was split decision, right? And the commentators were like, you know, do you feel like he was that close? And he was like, nah. He's like, you know, that's why you can't let it go to the decision.
Okay.
To the ladies, we had Yana Santos versus Chelsea Chandler, and Yana Santos won that by unanimous decision, 3-round fight. We had Japan's very own Toshimi Kazama versus Chalopus Gringo, and that was a submission by Kazama, triangle choke in the second round, 1 minute 55 seconds. I'm just running through these results. We had Caro Rosa versus Penny Kianzand, and that was a unanimous decision, 3 rounds. Geez, UFC, we have a lot of foreigners, and I have a weird last name, but not weird, but it's hard to to pronounce last names. But geez, they're not making it easy for me. But we have Jonata Denise defeats Carl Williams, and that was a unanimous decision, 3 rounds. We have Yusuf Zalal defeating Jano Aarons by submission, rear naked choke, first round. And then we have Stephanie Luciano versus Talita Alenska, and that was a unanimous decision for Luciano, 3 rounds. That was just me running through the UFC fight night this Saturday. Yeah. But as we run through those results, let's just put some boxing topics. If you guys have any interesting topics, let's have a little bit of a back and forth.
Referees. Not referees, the judging system, because
I was gonna ask that question.
Yeah, because there have been so many questionable decisions throughout the history of boxing. There has to be some way to, I don't know, like the influence of promotions and the almighty dollar just have to have some type of effect on these outcomes. And as fans, we just want to see fair judging. And then right now, we don't get that on a consistent basis. Sometimes we're like, yeah, I agree with the cards. A lot of times we're like, I don't know about that. Or it'll be a good fight, but then it'll be, a sweep on one side when, it probably was a 6-6 or a 7-5 type of situation. And
right.
For me, I'm like, how do you solve that in boxing? Because it's gone on for such a long time.
So the human error, right? The human element is very subjective. people see different things from different angles. But yeah, sometimes it's like when our community is online and we see certain officials starting to build a reputation, and I use the basketball example, like when we see Scott Foster refereeing the Chris Paul game,
we already know what's up.
The betting line goes one way. So
Man.
if for people that are diehards in this sport, in the combat sports, and they start knowing who these judges are before the fight, and they start swinging these bets, I think that might change it.
Right. What about if there were judges that were off-site? Like there was a way to, you have your judges that are ringside, then you had judges that were off-site. Maybe we get live audio feed, no commentary. That way you're in the action as good as you can be. So these people have good vantage point of the fight, but you split it up. You have judges ringside, judges that were not physically in the building, and maybe we can like combine those scores. Because like the Olympic judges, they have a lot of judges. I don't know what the number is, of judges it is, but more judges. I don't know. That's just
one option is to make the scores public. When they turn in the cards after the rounds.
And put their names on. Yeah, put their names, not just unanimous. I mean, sorry, not anonymous judge.
Not right. I mean, because it's not anonymous, but it's a mystery until we get to the end.
And how do we know those numbers aren't changed at some point? Like, oh, hold on, let me go back and fix this round because it's not getting the right outcome.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be mad at that. That is something you saw with the Olympics with a judge, and after the round, you knew who won the round.
Do you think in the future with AI and all sorts of stuff, technology that is happening before us, they'll create a sensor or a sensor suit where fighters wear this suit, and whenever you're touched, it starts to create like a point counting system based on impact and based on because referees also give you different points. Which part did you hit? The head is different from the body, right? Like just assess a criteria, assessing like where you hit the person, and at the end of the day, you get an aggregated score how you did as a fighter based on that sensor that is on each fighter.
I don't know if they would even need. I don't know if they would even need sensors. Like with the advancement in like our camera equipment, they could literally have bunches, several cameras that can like re-image fight. And I mean the capabilities are crazy if they apply them to a boxing scenario. You could get cameras that are like pointed at the ring at these really big fights that could get very accurate punch stats. Because sometimes we don't know if the people that are tabulating the punches have some type of bias towards the competition, because we're starting to see or feel like, or the things suggest that like Scott Foster in the NBA, or there was a referee that did one of our fights here in Dallas, and I looked him up, and he has a documentary about how bad of an official he is. A whole documentary. So. And it's multiple, so it's like you can easily find YouTube. I'm like, it's so there has to be some type of I feel like that will naturally occur as technology improves. Things will happen to help us, view the sport that we love.
I think somebody needs to come up with a watchdog, and like,
yeah,
it's kind of like when they're having these debates and there's fact checking in real time. If somebody comes up with a watchdog and says, well, here's this official that swings way opposite of other officials,
right?
They're reading these final results, and we believe that it's in contrary to what actually took place that night.
Right. And those things, I think those things are starting to happen, because I saw a video about the Crawford Madrimov fight, and their punch totals were a lot different than the CompuBox stats that were released. So it just made me think like, he paused the video on every time that he proceeded punch to land. And it was like, okay, I can see that. So as we go through the video, he's supporting his final numbers, which had Crawford actually outlanding Madrimov by like 20 punches or 21 punches or something like that. But the numbers were just different, like how it was CompuBox versus this YouTuber. So I think fans are so passionate about this. This is why we doing this podcast. Is like people will start to, act on their own. And as we see, people like to borrow stuff when they see that it is having some type of success or is getting some type of traction, people tend to notice that, take heed, and put it in practice in other ways. So
I full-hearted agree with you on that. Like, we're getting to this realm where even this podcast, this is a fan-driven podcast, right? We're not specialists in fight world. Like, we are not, people that have traveled and distinguished or polished media people. But the mere fact that fans are creating outlets to express what they saw and how it does not translate to what the officials are saying, right? To what the judges are saying, to what, whoever is winning is saying. We see it with our own eyes, and we can see like, this is plain broad day robbery. And it goes as far to even, there's a switching of the guard. Boxing is one of the most gangster sports out there. All these people that run these promotions, there's so much politics behind the scene that even I'm just assuming from just hearing, because I also follow fan combat channels where they talk about how strong these promoters are, how influential they are, how they run certain cities like Las Vegas, how they run certain cities like Colorado, how they run certain bodies of bodies that let you get your license and so much. And it goes as far as politics, so you cannot really, if somebody really wants to make you a champion, they can make you a champion, and they'll make you go through the shortcuts of being a champion. We've seen champions having 19 fights in their resume, and maybe fought like 3 real names, and a lot of them were like questionable decisions that you could be like, they edged it, or they had the champion treatment, like give you the benefit of the doubt. So with these fan channels who will be whistleblowers to say, nah, Brody didn't win that. Like you said, that fan channel was like dedicating his time to pausing and counting every punch thrown.
I was impressed.
That's a whistleblower. And when you have more of these channels because we cannot be compromised, because they're not paying us. We cannot be compromised. So we say it how it is. And yes, we may say it not this way, but we are not part of their paid system to kind of like pretend that we didn't see what we saw.
For sure. So this weekend was kind of overshadowed by the Olympic finals. And so there was some good combat sports taking place, overshadowed by the Olympic finals. It'll be an afterthought. We ended up with a knockout of the year candidate. So a great battle between Ortiz, a controversial decision, but will definitely have some consequences in the greater landscape of everything. So not an irrelevant weekend by any stretch of the imagination.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's what we have for this weekend. We'll follow up next weekend with another fight weekend. We have some fights coming up. Actually, the best fights are coming up in September, to be honest. But we'll be here. If it's not just talking about live fights that just happened, we'll talk about some topics. There's a lot of topics that we can talk about in the world of combat sports. Thank you for joining us on this live session. LT, Kam Gee, do you guys have something to share with the audience as we close?
Keep going.
Kam Gee,
keep going.
LT, who's fighting?
Who's fighting?